Hello and welcome to Best Media Info. I am Akanksha Srivastava, editor at Best Media Info. Today I have with me Hephzibah Pathak, executive chairperson, Ogilvy India. Hi Hebs, how are you?
Hi, happy to be here.
Beginning with my first question, which is a very basic one, but an integral question to begin with, which is about how did the first half of 2024 go for Ogilvy India in terms of business, and what are your expectations for the second half of the year? And is there something, any unique challenge that you saw in the first half of 2024?
So I think we've got into this year with momentum. So we've had a good first half. I think happy that we are winning new assignments. We've got more assignments for many of our clients. We're creating very interesting work across clients and across categories. And when it comes to the market, top end was growing well. I think the mass has been a bit sluggish in certain categories. So economy was a bit soft there. But now we're seeing green shoots. Clients are optimistic. I think there is some recovery. So I think with that recovery, things will gather momentum and we will grow on the back of that. And I'm really excited because we have some fantastic work in pipeline for the second half.
So, is there any unique challenge probably creative agencies are facing, and if you could throw some light on it, or is what challenge Ogilvy is facing is similar to what others are facing?
So I don't know about the others, and I don't see it as a challenge. I see everything as an opportunity. But if you look at how we're building brands today, it's a very disrupted ecosystem, and there's nothing linear. It's a complex ecosystem. It's one of the world's most fragmented, complex ecosystems, and we're building brands on all horizons. We're building on the long-term horizon, medium-term, and the short-term horizon. So I think really it's our ability to be able to deliver these complex, it's no longer a campaign, these complex ecosystems at the in a win-win way, I think is where our focus is.
So that means creative agencies now have to be all rounders. They need to know everything.
Yeah, I think that as brand experts, we have to be able to build mastery over building an end-to-end understanding of how to shape brands in a digital world. I think that's what we're doing. And I think we have to evolve our skills in that area.
This brings me to the next question. I mean, do you think that, what are the key areas where Ogilvy India needs transformation, and what strategies are you deploying to achieve those goals?
So, we've been on this transformation journey for a long time and are continuously building forward. We have a large content force across two of our biggest offices, an army of talented people doing social first work, creating all kinds of dynamic content, influencer work. We're doing digital work across, our largest clients. We have a fantastic creative tech team, and they have enabled a lot of creative innovation. And we're doubling that team now because we're not only doing work across many of our clients, TCCC, Mondelez, ITC, Unilever, we're also doing work for some of our global clients out of here. We have an experiential activation team. The five-star work that won at Cannes this year was actually delivered by our experiential activation team. We have a partnership team that manages all the ecosystem of partners we have. Ogilvy One, you must have heard of that, our digital experience business that's helping clients with customer acquisition, service design, commerce, loyalty. We have our data and MarTech teams, nearly 1,500 of them in our hubs in Gurgaon, Coimbatore, Hyderabad, Bangalore, who enable delivery and execution of these experiences. So I would say that we've been doing this for more than a decade now. And we are continuing, and I think that job is to really keep scaling what we're doing it across more clients, and then continue to demonstrate the undeniable impact of creativity through the line. It's one thing to have the tools and the trade and all the platforms and all the, and the toolkit, right? But our job is to make sure that we're able to bring what we do, which is creativity, through the line.
So you've spoken about what all Ogilvy has. Matlab, you've talked about its capabilities. So does that mean that there's nothing that Ogilvy needs to work on except getting expertise in what it already has, or there is still some gray areas or some areas where Ogilvy needs work?
So I think I would never say that, we have it all, because I think the world is evolving and we need to continuously evolve. I think that what we have right now also needs to scale, but we know AI is becoming important. And with WPP, we're doing a lot of work in that area. And we will continue to, and we will see whatever is required to build a brand in a modern world, we will get involved in. And we will make sure that we have the expertise, or we get the expertise, because today we're even more plugged into our regional, global, and our WPP system. So frankly, we have the ability to bring together whatever is required to solve a client's problem today. So even if there are areas where we feel we need to buttress what we have our ecosystem, our internal ecosystem itself that can actually provide, the leveling up that we require.
Mhm. Also, do you also dedicate your focus as like probably this time of the month, probably I need to look at Ogilvy Delhi, this time Ogilvy Bangalore or Bombay,
It's
because
always on.
how strong is your all three offices? I'm sure I mean, it won't be like all are equally doing well. There must be some offices where you need to put extra focus. So how do you go about it?
So I think that I don't think it's compartmentalized like that. I think that it is always on. I think we have very strong check-ins and we work very much, very frontline a frontline leadership team. So we are involved with clients on the ground in all our offices. And I don't think it is like, this is now this time of the day is this office. I think it's also basis the requirement. But the fact is, we're very plugged in, and they're quite always on in the way we actually engage with our teams in our other geographies.
So this question came to my mind after a lot of discussions I had with people in Cannes that creativity has transcended boundaries and become democratized. So nowadays, content creators are creating content which is creative. Platforms themselves are creating platforms like TVF, Pocket Aces, Supari Studios. They are doing some good creative work for brands. In fact, India's biggest UPI is probably creative innovation. I would say it's an innovation only. So anybody can create a product, service, or content. So in such a scenario, what should creative agencies do to remain important for brands?
I think agencies have an expertise in creating work that is designed to solve business problems and brand problems. And agencies have a lot of category, consumer, brand understanding and knowledge, and teams who have know-how on these brands. And that's not easily replicatable. And our strengths are in building brands and influencing behavior change and delivering towards goals. And we have a deep culture. And over the years, I've built the methodology of doing this. And we've consistently shaped and built brands over time. So I would say more than ever, clients want a trusted partner who will manage the end-to-end custodianship and navigate and build brands and shape brands in a dynamic world. In fact, many clients share their challenges of managing the integrity of the brand when they have to deal with so many entities. So I think that, this is the core competence of an agency, which I don't think is something that anybody can just easily replicate. We are brand experts and we are able to do it because we've done it for years. And that is our core area of competence.
AdX is increasing, but most of them is going either to media, martech, adtech, and all those spheres. So how can creative agencies demand better value and remuneration for their services?
I think this is a big industry issue because we have to, and I think we're working on it, get clients to better appreciate the value that we bring because our value is around brand value, brand loyalty. But we are growing our assignments to become end-to-end custodians of our brand, and our commercial agreements are actually reflecting this. So we've evolved as the marketing ecosystem has evolved, and our capabilities reflect that. We've built bespoke client models for clients depending on the requirement. And for many of our clients, we're doing end-to-end work, right? Social performance, experiential work, martech work, and we are providing end-to-end services through the line, and our commercial agreements are reflecting that. But having said that, as an industry, we have to do a better job to help a client understand the value that we bring to the table so that there is a better value put on the table. In some cases, clients do understand that. In some cases, we have to work harder at it because as an industry, I think this narrative was not held by us. Somewhere this narrative got built because we didn't take control of the narrative and we didn't work together to be able to build that. So I think that's an important thing. But having said that, today, especially I feel the pendulum has swung a little bit to this side. When there was a time when clients went and they fragmented and they gave a lot of business to a whole lot of parties. I think there is a huge need now for experts to come together to be able to really look at how all the pieces come together and how we build mastery and how to build brand in today's world. The marketing funnel at one time, there was a whole conversation around, I think the marketing funnel is collapsing. And I think today's world, it's not just precision and it's not just efficiency, it's also effectiveness. It's also, so I think the funnel is going to be more balanced. The top of the funnel is as important as, the bottom of the funnel, because in this country, category creation is important, desire is important. We can't be just doing the performance, bottom of the funnel job. So I think you require a brand expert to be able to do this, and the clients have to see the value in us being able to do it. So it's our ability to be able to help the clients understand the value that we bring through our proven track record, to proving it, because we have to prove that what we are able to do is able to actually create impact for them.
Can Can individual agencies do that alone, or you think that collectively agencies need to come together, probably AAAI or something like that need to come
I
together?
think there is work happening on that end as well. I think it's a bit of both. We have to do both. And I think there is some work happening in that at that end. But certainly, I think there are many clients who have a great maturity in understanding that this is about investment. It's about building long-term brand value, and they see the value in the way that agencies are building the know-how that is required for them to be able to deliver better in the marketplace.
Is it
So that
easier for you, Hebs, because you are from Ogilvy in comparison to other agencies which are not as big as your company?
uh, perhaps in some cases we can lead the way, but it's not like we also don't struggle. I think there are areas that we have to work very hard, but I think we have to put in the time. It's not going to happen organically. You can't just go in, and you have to put in the time to be able to help. Like in anything, help the other party appreciate the value that you're bringing to the table. Build the case, build the logic for it. Yeah, I think that's important, and we do put in the time. And I think for a lot of us, because we have a long-standing client relationships, and many of them have already seen the value of it. So many cases, some of our, long-term clients, already appreciate that and work with us, with their constraints, our constraints, to try and find a win-win outcome. But
Mm-hmm.
that's work that we just need to continuously do, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what are your thoughts on creative agencies producing branded content compared to content platforms and creators? Do you think there was a period where agencies lost ground to platforms like TVF and Pocket Aces and influencers? And now you think that we've regained that our footing in the branded content arena again? Because I see a lot of good work coming out from creative agencies in terms of branded content and not just ads.
Yeah. I think agencies will play a role where there is a where we have will play a role where there is a role to build brands and influence behavior change. Yeah, like in many cases in the past, we have leveraged partners to also deliver on some of our ideas. So we are quite happy, in the new ecosystem to work with a varied set of partners wherever it's applicable, where we're able to leverage their strengths. But where we play in content is where there is a systematic way in which we're actually using that to build brands and influence behavior change. So
Hmm.
I think this is for everyone. And in many cases, we're very happy to be partnering to build. We may have an idea and we may bring in two parties to help us develop that idea, and that's okay.
Mhm. Do you look at the branded content differently from any other aspects of probably marketing communication? Because branded content doesn't put the product first, but the content first. So, do you see at it differently, and how do you see your clients reacting to the proposition of branded content growth in India?
Again, it's a strategic call you take, and you look at what the value of that is to the brand. So it's not a generic thing, but of course we see that there is a role for branded content, but it also depends on which brand, what kind of content, what is the value that it adds back to the brand.
Mhm.
So we do see a value in it, but we have to take a strategic call on where to leverage it and which category, and in what way.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So intimate communities have great power to build brands. So as creative agencies, are we utilizing them enough in the work we produce?
I think certainly, and I think it's even gotten more important. We leverage this for consumer cohorts, for creator communities, and
Give some examples because our viewers really like case studies.
no, for example, for a brand like a motorbike, or let's say a Bajaj. I mean, there would be consumer cohorts where you will activate the brand, and there may be influencer communities that you may activate as well. But for example, for a beauty brand, we may do both as well. In some categories, maybe just the creator communities may be more important. So it all depends on categories. But
So how do you use
activate
them? Do you just use them like a media vehicle to propagate the brand's communication, or you use them creatively as well?
No, we use them creatively. Finally, it's not just a vehicle, right? It's what you do with the brand. Because the fact is that the creator communities, for example, are working across multiple brands. So you have to also find a way to look at where that will intersect with what your brand wants to do and how interestingly you can leverage them without losing their authenticity.
I ask this question because I often see this thing happening, like brands using influencers like another amplification platform, a media platform. That's why I was asking that how can these communities or fan clubs of probably some celebrities or some pop culture communities be used by brands effectively, creatively, instead of just using them like another media vehicle where you get targeted audience
Yeah, so for example, it all depends. I'm saying if you look at in beauty, I mean, it's very important that the influencer community actually, break down a lot of, they're doing the education for brands actually in many cases. So it all depends on, if you have a broad thought, I think that thought also helps the creator find a way to uh, uh, bring what their skill, their authentic selves to the table in a way that intersects with what the brand wants to say. So I think it's a combination of those things that you do. There's no one way. And we're constantly experimenting to look how we can break new ground with it, because the fact is that every brand is using it, right? And we have to continuously look at, like for Dove, for example, when we did our purpose campaign, we used the creators very interestingly to raise the conversation, to provoke the conversation, to champion the conversation. And that was done differently because the idea that we had was very, very different. So even though it might have been influencers that perhaps other brands may have used, we've used them in a very different context. And that's why, and they brought their voice to our idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how can brands reimagine creativity by effectively using commerce and data? What role creative agencies have in this process? Because I'm seeing a lot of brands spending big money on commerce and data. So, what role agencies have to play there?
So, I think the important thing now is for creativity to join the party. Having access to data and platforms is only the start point. How you leverage it is important. If you don't know, you can have data, but you don't know how to glean the right insights,
Mm.
or create the most powerful idea from that, there is no impact. Then it's all like, a lot of commodity, right? And creativity and innovation has to intersect with platforms' capabilities to create something meaningful. I mean, if you look at, our SRK, my ad, yeah, it was a triangulation of technology, data, and commerce coming together
Mhm.
in a way that really created something meaningful. Or on Sprite, we have something called joke in a bottle, where, it's a value exchange with the consumer. You buy a bottle of Sprite and you get a joke.
Mm.
So I think without that creativity and imagination, data, just saying data and commerce and using that will not really suffice. Yeah.
So, do you
So
think?
I think it's not what you take, but it's where you take it to. That's important.
You think this question would probably be more relevant to media agencies because they have the client's data, they know how what to do with that data and how to use commerce. Because I see them really vocal about commerce and data more than creative agencies.
No, we're doing work. We're doing work. In fact, we're very well integrated with media agencies. That's one big change we're actually driving, because we, WPP, we're working very closely with our media agencies, because
Mm.
we need to actually bring the inciting around data right at the start of the briefing process. It's not at the end. It's not at the GTM or the amplification part of it. So I think data can come from multiple sources. There is client data, there is secondary and primary data. In some cases, we are working with first party data clients. So I think it's a question of, parties working together. I don't think it's just the bastion of a media agency. There's a client, there is a media agency, there is a creative agency, all coming together to look at how we can actually, because it's not just, there's lots of data available, but it's our ability to be able to insight and, understand what aspect of that data, what insight that we want to leverage from data. I think that is the point. The point is everybody can see the data, but if you don't see the insight, or you don't see, your ability to whisper something, be a data whisperer is very, very important. So I think we work with media, we work with clients, in many cases with clients, first party data. They have first party data, they have their analysts. Sometimes they ask us to partner them in that area,
Mhm.
and and work on that and look at how that can actually input and inform some of the things that we're thinking of.
Mhm.
Yeah, some of the things that we're doing, and I think uh, our and I think it's really important for agencies and media to work hand in hand. In fact, we're driving that integration very hard and much in a much more closer way now.
Mhm. Do you think we are doing a good job using data really creatively, or you're saying some very good work happening globally and we must take learnings from them?
Yeah, I think where a data, it's a data nascent market. I'm not sure every client has got very mature data, data strategies and a data management system. So I think we're in the journey of actually being able to build that base. And I think there's a lot more that can be done. I think we're only on a journey. I think we've made some great inroads, but I think there's more to be done.
Mm-hmm. But how can we avoid becoming victims of excessive data and insufficient soul?
And institutions. So, see, I think that we must remember always that we're using creativity to solve brand problems. And brands are here because they're trying to solve human problems.
Hmm.
So finally, the end of the day is a connection between a brand and a consumer, you know. And data and tech are all enablers. Human imagination cannot be replaced by data and tech. How you
Hmm.
extract insights, how you leverage it. In fact, the most important thing is how you leverage it. Lots of people have data, but they don't know how to leverage it.
Hmm.
And leverage in a way that captures imagination and engage consumers is important. And it's
Hmm.
not about precision and efficiency, it's about effectiveness. Because finally, we're trying to feed a connection between a brand and a consumer. And feeding that connection requires inspiration. We have to, imagination. We have to deliver stuff that moves and touches them, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I told you, like, the marketing funnel will become more balanced. You will require top of the funnel work because we are still doing category creation, desire creation, and then when you go through the funnel and you go bottom of the funnel, it gets into a little more of the efficiency game. So I think it's a combination of both. But I think effectiveness is important, and without human imagination and without knowing how to leverage this data in a way that really,
Hmm.
touches the consumer and makes a connection with the consumer.
Hmm.
I mean, it'll just be it just be transaction, and you
Hmm.
will not build any. Finally, you have to build a connection. Finally, what you're doing is building connections between brands and people, and that is the valuable connection.
Hmm. Okay. Moving ahead with this data, commerce, and content conversation, I want you to give a broader aspect on India's creative output, creative quality in comparison to the global scenario. And I wanted to look beyond this Ogilvy. Where does India stand?
Honestly, I think that India's been doing good work. I think in the recent so many years, we made a mark on the international platform. And lots of great work from across agencies. And sometimes I feel a lot of the great work doesn't win necessarily at the award shows.
A
And
lot
just
of
because it
great
doesn't
work is
win.
not entered in awards. Not necessarily all good work is entered in awards.
Yeah, and even if it's entered and it doesn't win, it doesn't mean it's not top class, because juries are in a particular, there's a particular mix of a jury. It's a lottery sometimes.
Hmm.
Sometimes that cultural context doesn't get understood as effortlessly, you know. So I feel that, if you look at our campaigns itself, in some cases, it's one in other shows and not one in, in Cannes, for example. It's one big in other shows and not in Cannes. So I think that's part and parcel of the game. I really think it's important for us to create really amazing, surprising, impactful work that's breakthrough. We have to break new ground every time we create work. And now, not just work in one category, but it's across categories, across clients, and work towards creating unreasonable impact that has, that people fall in love with. Like Piyush always says, when your neighbor starts talking about the work that you're doing, then that's really created impact. And if some of that gets awarded, then that's in a happy place. But I think the work that India has been doing across the board has been very, very good. And I would say it's, as good as some of the stuff that's happening around the world. And of course, it's not an end point. I mean, we have to continuously do, and we continuously, it's quite a sophisticated, advertising market. So I think we can continuously push boundaries and create even more breakthrough work.
Hmm.
And we are seeing, look at how much creative innovation work is happening in the India work. I mean, if 10 years ago it was not the case. In the last couple of years, you've seen the amount of creative innovation. We're seeing the integration of technology in the work, to create really distinctive experiences. So that's great.
So, is it right to say the future of Indian creativity is in good hands then?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're seeing very young people doing very, very good work. So I'm very optimistic about it. And we must, and I think that's one important thing. We have to make this industry exciting for younger people. On an young people look for, they're experimentative, maybe not as loyal as we were, like they have so much more choice, and they want to do different things. There cannot be an industry better than ours where they could come and have so much fun. In a single day, you can probably go to three different clients and look at three different problems, and you work on three different solutions. Where do you get that in any industry? So somewhere I think as an industry, we haven't worked hard to make this industry seem as exciting, make this industry uh, for people. We haven't worked hard to really sell how fantastic and exciting this industry is to young people. I think that's really, really important for us to do. We have to make it a magnet for young people. There can be no. It's probably one of the reason we're all in this business today is because it's been such an interesting industry, and we've done such interesting things across the decades in our careers.
So, how can we make the industry magnet for the younger people to join it?
I think there's lots we're doing. In fact, we have a lot of young people that are running fairly significant operation, significant, jobs in our company right now. I think we have to first of all recognize that what worked for us doesn't work for them, you know, because I think the way we were managed is very different from the way they have to be managed. So I think we have to understand them as people and understand they're probably more multi-dimensional people than we were when we started off. And I think give them opportunities, help them see the value in the opportunities. I think take a chance on them many times. I think people they're much more confident generation. So giving them valuable opportunities, taking a chance on them, uh, understanding them as individuals so that we're able to build better processes and ecosystems that support them.
Mm-hmm.
All these things I think are
This you've
important.
spoken about.
Culture, evolve your culture in a way that really serves them as well. Yeah.
Mm. So this answer definitely is good for the people who have joined the industry, and we can deploy certain practices to make them stay back in the industry. But at an entry level, what should we do to attract more people to the industry? Some good talent? Is it salaries? What is it that will make the industry very attractive?
So, I would think that this is a passion industry, and people have to feel the passion about it. And I think sometimes, that's why at one point I was doing a lot of lectures in schools as well, because I think when they see, but they have to be inspired by what's happening in the industry. A lot of people who join this industry have to feel the passion for it, say, hey, I'm coming into an industry, but I have a chance to influence culture. I can participate in what's happening in social. I can do work that can actually be a pivot in culture and social. So when you share, when you teach, when you create uh, dialogue or engagement programs with the youngsters, I think they're able to see the potential, because sometimes sitting there they may not be able to see the potential and don't feel as inspired. And I think often when we do sessions with them or we're invited to do talks with them, they come off feeling very, very inspired.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. And I think for people who believe and who have that passion and who feel like, and who feel that that's because they have to join because they feel passion for that. Because this is not an industry that you should join if you don't have a passion for it. Then you
Mm-hmm.
should go do something else. But I think a lot of them do. And I think we're able to stoke it, we're able to inspire it. We're able to, like, we have a lot of interns who come here and a lot of them want to stay back then after they come here because they feel so excited about what they see that's going on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But is it just Ogilvy factor, or are you seeing this across the industry?
I don't know, but I don't know about the I think across the industry we're no longer. I don't think it's necessarily as exciting a profession. Youngsters see it as exciting a profession as we saw. Because in the early days, people would stand in line to interview to enter, an advertising agency, and I think that's because perhaps we haven't done enough. Yeah. So I think we have to consciously, anything can be, if you take something up consciously and you decide as an industry to work on making it exciting for youngsters, things will happen. So I think that's important for us to do. I think it's important for us to work on it and consciously, build the narrative, so that people are able to see
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity, the possibilities that this industry has to offer, which is actually very, very exciting and something that Gen Z actually should be very, very turned on by.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So this question is personal. With 30 years in advertising, what has kept you in the industry and what continues to fuel your passion for it? If not Ogilvy, where do you think you would have been today?
I have a passion for this business. It's a very exciting profession, as I just shared. We get to work and solve so many different problems for our clients across categories every day. Just imagine, every day is different, and what a privilege it is to get a seat at the table across so many of our clients, old and new. And I really treasure my client partnerships and relationships. Many of them are lifelong friends. So I think that's been a very, very wonderful part about my journey. But what I think is amazingly special is our culture and our people. And the people are the reason why, I think we've all stayed so long and we're excited to show up every day. We feel delight, not dread. The day you feel dread, I think you should leave the industry. You should leave the agency or the industry. So I think our culture has been
That's
the
a very
magic.
rare feeling to have, Heps,
It
to
is, it is, it is.
to
And I
feel
think you can't.
excited to come to work.
Yes, yes. And I don't think you can survive so many years if you have that, if you don't have that.
Mm.
So we all look forward. We have a spring in our step. Our culture is the magic sauce. It's a culture of blind discontent that sees no conflict between being empathetic and excellence. It's very open. It's a very helpful culture. And there are very many touching stories of how our people show up for each other. So I
Mm.
think that's been really, really special. And I think I don't know if I were not here, whether, I would be here this long. I don't know. I know certainly that that's the reason I've stayed here this long. And I have a passion for this business. I'm so excited by this business. And I guess that's what keeps us going and has kept me going for so
If
long,
not
decades.
advertising, then you can't even imagine what else then. Is
No, no,
it?
I can't imagine. I think I would probably be a teacher or a gardener. I think sometimes I keep thinking because there's some place where I'm contributing to change and growth. I'm really excited by driving change and driving growth, growth of all kinds, not just, a commercial growth, but also growth of people, growth of a culture. So I
Hmm.
think anything in that area would make me feel really, really good and fulfilled.
Mhm. Generally we have this thing, I mean, which is about grass is always greener on the other side. So you never felt to look beyond Ogilvy to try something different because you spent so many years and probably did this thought cross your mind?
So, like I told you, I have a passion for this business, and it's not like I've not been offered international assignments in our own network, regional assignments on our own network. But I think there's something amazing happening in India, and I think there's something amazing happening in Ogilvy. And Ogilvy is like, it's a thriving place landscape because there are so many clients, there are so many challenges, there are so many opportunities. So, I think one of the reasons also that I have never looked out is because I was constantly challenged, and I constantly felt like I was growing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think at every single point of time, I was really pivoting and I was able to elevate, myself through whatever challenges were coming my way. And I think that was amazing. I've had some amazing teachers, mentors. So it was such a thriving environment that even though I did have options within the network, of course, I've not looked outside of Ogilvy, but within the network, I had many opportunities. I actually felt that, I'm not done with whatever's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
So
This brings me to the last question. Is there something in the way we function you want to change or should be changed
where in
in advertising?
in the industry? So I told you one of the larger things is we have to sell ourselves better because I don't think we are too busy doing whatever we're doing and not, uh, giving focus to this particular area. We have to make this industry exciting for young talent. Yeah, and I think that's important. I've talked about it earlier as well. Because when we do that, we're able to extract better value. We're able to attract talent. Finally, this business is about people. It's not like we have products. We make products, people. So if you become a talent magnet, and you're able to attract young talent, you're able to inspire them, and you're able to get clients to understand the value that you bring. You will be able to get the money you need to be able to also manage the people that you want to hire. So I think these are two areas as an industry. I think we need to do more of.
I think we're also facing this problem of plenty. If Ogilvy won't agree to certain price point of delivering services, there would be another agency ready to work for them, and they would be fine with it. It's okay.
Well, I can't I mean, yeah, sure, there may be clients who do that, but I think if clients see the value, they do want to put that value on the table. For that, they need to understand because a lot of clients, you got to help them appreciate the value that you bring to the table. Yeah, and that will be, see, of course, there may be someone doing it, someone else willing to do it, but the question is, what value you have to put the value on it. If you feel that that person is doing it and is going to deliver the value that you're going to get, that's fine.
Mhm.
But as far as we are concerned, I think what we do and the value that we bring, both at the strategic level, at the creative level, at the delivery level, I think it's not something that is easily replicatable, and it's a high quality delivery that we do. That
Mhm.
actually impacts brands. See, at the end of the day, all of this stuff is great if you're not and if you're not able to impact and build long-term value for the brand, it won't work. Clients trust us and have trusted us for building brands for so many years. If you look at some of the brands we've built, I mean, we are seen as experts in that area. And I think that more than ever now, they're leaning on us and they want us to help them they want us to partner them in actually building brands in a very dynamic in a changing world because it's not easy to get mastery over what is the right thing to do in a very complex world today.
Mhm.
And clients want, they trust and they believe that we can bring that value to the table. As I told you, that we have a lot of know-how in this area and we have a lot of understanding and knowledge in this area. That doesn't come overnight. On so many categories, there's such a depth of knowledge and know-how that you don't get easily. So that's not easily replicatable. So it all depends on what the client wants. If there's some transactional, some one-off thing that he may require and somebody else is doing, it's a different thing. But for a lot of clients who work with us, we're partnering them on how to build their brands and their business and solving their problems on a day-to-day level. for
Mhm.
which there is an expertise,
Mhm.
not something that is easily, it's not just about saying anybody can, you can just put a bunch of people together and everybody can do it. And there is a method in the way and how we do it.
Mhm. Is there something else that you wish to tell our audience? Because there are so many topics on which we can talk, but there has to be an end to this conversation, particularly this one, so that we can have a next one. So, is there something else?
There's a lot happening. Something that Piyush told me that sticks with me is he always tells me, enjoy your journey. So, show up every day and, really enjoy what you're doing every day. And then, everything else will just happen. So I think it's a good reminder for me sometimes to say, enjoy your journey. Everything else will fall into place.
Mhm. Okay, that's a nice line to end this interview with. Thank you, Heps. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.